can't comment on exchange. It's funny, so a lot of people keep on the list.
As many smart contracts as you want, and you can.
Order at NASDAQ. We'll be coming to you live from Georgetown University at the DC Blockchain Summit. For this segment, we have Joe Rokes, the founder and CEO of Dragonchain.
We're here in the beautiful Amsterdam at the Dragonchain.
I'm back in London at the RSA.
We're here at NAB Live. Guys, check out Dragonchain.
Today, I'm going to be showing you how to use the new Dragonchain console.
Bronze scheduling feature automatically invoke a smart contract to contact an oracle and selectively ledger data on a chain.
Today I wanted to give you a quick demonstration of our identity management solution.
On a private Ethereum network, pull the data into a contract, do some business logic, and then push it back out.
No idea that the technology piece could allow us to go from absolutely nothing to something that's being beta tested in our store right now, today, in 4 days.
Magazine.
Oh, yes. Adam's clicking the button.
3, 2, 1, merge.
Woo! Yes. That's awesome.
Right
This is really cool. I'm super excited for this because now the community gets a chance to contribute to this product again. So you can fork the repository, go up there, give it a star, fork it, make your own pull requests, request features. That's a place where you can go to directly interface with us, the Dragonchain devs.
Hello everyone. So we're at Super Happy Dragon Lucky episode 17. So we're going to do basically a year in review, full list of stuff.
It's a recap of 2019.
Right. We'll probably miss some things, right?
Yep.
But we did our best. We had a lot of things happened, and without getting into too much detail in certain areas, I know we'll miss stuff. But first thing, things we did, different events, different occurrences that happened in the Dragonchain world. We went to the Tech Impact Awards. That was really good. We had a really good event in Paris at Vivatech. We actually met a lot of European community members that we didn't expect. It was really cool.
Thanks for all your support out there, Europe.
It was actually really cool. We had a trip to Amsterdam for a few events surrounding the Dutch Blockchain Coalition conference. There was some really good interactions there, and went to a few meetups. Really cool. We had a supply chain webinar, which was successful. Developer Week Seattle, where we actually did one of the first really good demos showing that you can run any type of code as a smart contract. Dean did I think a Bash. That is a POSIX shell smart contract. Really cool.
We did a couple of events too, right? We did the privacy webinar, or the privacy conference up in Victoria.
That's right.
And then we did the forensic conference down in Atlanta? No, North Carolina.
North
Carolina.
And we, let's see here, we had the Belgian delegates into the office. They came in to visit Boeing, Microsoft, Amazon, and Dragonchain.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so, and they were great. There were a lot of different companies represented, and really good discussion, really good presentation. We also, more recently, had the hackathon, which was really interesting because we had a lot of exposure outside of Seattle for people actually building stuff.
Yeah, the hackathon was a lot of fun. If you haven't watched the hackathon, definitely check out the updates and the results on there.
Yeah, and some pretty good projects came out of that, and at least 2 of them that I know of are ongoing, that they're going to continue working on them. Really good stuff. What else? We launched Super Happy Dragon Lucky, right? Which it is interesting, and it's always hard to do, but if you've watched through the months, the quality has increased steadily, and it's good stuff, right? So the other the fellowship. So if you don't know about it, there are there's a group of people that are under NDA, and we have a creators group separate, and you can get in there, and with it there are benefits. There will be some benefits to Eternal and a few other products if you're in that group, and it's a way for us to get better feedback earlier without as much risk, right? So on things that are coming. So that's really interesting, and it's a really good model. So far, we're working well together there. Let's see here, what else? So the other thing we did was the rebrand, right? Which wasn't the most popular thing in the world with some people, which was a little bit intentional, right? And what it consisted of was basically moving the JoJo logo to the original intent, which was him protecting a treasure instead of a ledger, which that was something I wasn't in love with way back, but it was okay. But the real reason that we did the rebrand entirely was because it's hard to cut through all the noise. If we aren't going to be paying for time, we don't do pay to play, we don't pay to be on videos, we don't do any of that stuff. So how do you cut through all of the noise on Twitter and everywhere else in crypto? And so we said, okay, rebrand, because all of the typical patterns are, oh, you rebrand, and then it's basically a pump and dump. And we didn't, of course, want any of that. We don't do that stuff, but we wanted to release the open source with as much fanfare as possible. So to get as many eyeballs on it, we did a rebrand. And along with that, there were some legitimate rebrands where we changed DDSS to time. That is, it made it much easier to explain to people, especially in business, rather than having to explain what DDSS is. So that was a good positive. It's time now. We also launched consulting services more recently with the addition of Lawrence. And now we get into tech, right? So did I miss anything else there on any other updates? I think
I'm sure you missed
a lot of
something,
stuff.
but that's fine.
On tech, we have a pretty big laundry list, and I actually only got through mostly on the open source side. So there were a lot of releases before this. But as an example of some of the capabilities, and next week on the 7th, we'll be going through a lot more of this and a lot more in depth so that you can get a better handle on what some of this means. But part of that rebrand also for the core platform was that we ended the early access program, the EAP, where people were applying time, and we were basically rewarding before the application of time or the staking of time. We were rewarding on a monthly basis just for people who were helping us test out the network and verify everything. So we ended that during that rebrand, which was actually pretty big news and kind of got buried in a lot of other things. We open sourced the platform, which was pretty massive, and we'd been intending to do it for quite a while, but we just had to set it as a goal and do it. The beauty, though, when we open sourced was that although we had in plan to build a lot of tooling after that event, the community immediately grabbed, and we had a group of people out there that took the open source and basically built out their own install scripts to get verification nodes running on their own hardware, which was amazing, right? So we were really impressed. We were really happy with that because it helped us in a bunch of different ways, and it's pretty amazing because that code's still running. There's still people out there using that, improving it, so it's really neat. They also had a lot of built their own local block explorer and metrics and everything else way before we had metrics. Really cool. We also put together a lot more and a lot better documentation for Quick Start for building smart contracts, Quick Start for installing your own node and doing all of these things. Really nice. We moved to Redis search. We were using Elasticsearch before, and we found that it was a bigger footprint. Redis search allowed us to make everything smaller and to improve things because we wanted pretty heavily to add really good custom indexing. So for a blockchain, to be able to, first of all, have arbitrary payloads, so you can have your own business data in there and guarantee that business data does not move off of your business node, that you don't have to do anything special. You don't have to make a side chain. You don't have to make a side system, a subsystem to hold and handle your business data. It can and should all be on the blockchain because the verification doesn't need to know your business data. So one way or another, we allow you to index that data any way you need to. So it's hybrid. It's kind of, you can use it like a database. You can use it like a traditional system. You can use it like a blockchain. Verification node stuff, we had a lot of improvements in the verification node. It's actually pretty radically smaller than it used to be, which saves us money for managed services, but also for the community. It doesn't require as much RAM as it did, and a lot of other various things. We actually have successfully run verification nodes on Raspberry Pi as well, which is very, very cool. And we're going to continuously improve that. There are a lot of neat things happening there. Scaling of DragonNet. We had a test way back. I should say a load verification months ago, where we ran, I think, 1 million transactions a day for 4 or 5 days, and basically to find any issues. And we found one issue with the level 5 nodes where, because of the cadence that level 5s go, that like say Bitcoin is the longest because it's the most expensive, that the blocks were too big. So we basically improved all of that, and we have some scaling demos coming up next week, right? We improved key permissioning so that we don't have to manage your keys if you're doing interchain operations. That originally, when we rolled out, that was the simplest way to do things, and now you can use your own keys and do whatever you would do with all of the interchains, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, and Binance, which is really powerful. We have bulk transaction improvements so that we can do a lot more transactions in bulk than we could before. Smart contract improvements themselves, just efficiency and a lot of refactoring. New console design, right? Which you've done some demos on the console. It is radically improved.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Right, and it has a lot more features in it now. Time management, and it's funny you say that, right? And a lot of things coming. We're hoping to get some things in there for the reporting, but logging, launching and creating your chains and everything else. Let's see here.
Any new interchains?
Binance.
Okay.
Binance was the new interchain. And we, it's live, it's working. It actually comes up a lot if you hit Eternal. You can see that it hits Binance quite a bit. Metrics reporting. I can't remember what month that was, but it was pretty recent. That instead of us releasing monthly the transaction counts and node counts and things like that, you can see them daily updated on metrics on Dragonchain.com. Which is really nice. Pooled nodes, we had a lot of people who did not have enough time to launch a managed node at the time, especially before we were able to let them run their own nodes. So we have pooled nodes for each level, so anybody could apply. We just made a change very recently to limit the pooled nodes because a lot of people had billions of time applied on them, and so we thought, okay, they could run their own nodes, it'd be easier. We also released a bunch of SDKs, and we're hoping to do more and more of this, but Python, Node, JavaScript, Go, and Dart right now.
Yeah, I think there's a .NET even from the community.
That's right. There's a .NET on the outside from that. I can't remember the ID, but yeah, it's community. So lots of good development there. Lots of, in fact, I think the Go came half from community and half from us too. Yeah. Then lots of command line interface, DCTL improvements, all the way from managing the credentials to automatically pulling down whatever language, a template for a smart contract, testing the smart contract.
I think
locally.
we're the first company to be able to test smart contracts on your local box without having to use a test net.
True.
Like
And it's
so.
some features like Interchain, of course, it's not plugged, right? But your basic stuff to test your smart contract can all be run locally, and it's really powerful, really interesting.
Even the integration to like Docker Hub and repositories and stuff. I think that's a first too. Like I don't think anyone else is doing anything like that.
Which is the next that's Docker and Kubernetes that we switched to full-on Docker with Kubernetes because beyond just what Amazon supported, right? Which at the time that this allowed us to number one say that your smart contract can basically be written in any executable code. So even if you had a binary, if you don't have the source code, you could run it as a smart contract. It's pretty brilliant because the way that it's fed is much like a Unix model and RESTful code where it's all based upon state transfer. And really cool stuff. And with Docker Kubernetes, it also means you can scale it however you want. It means you can run it on Azure or Google or whatever cloud you want, or you can run it in your own environment.
The ability to manage resources using Kubernetes is really amazing. You know, if a process gets hung, it can restart itself. It scales itself. It's like auto magic.
Yes, and so it's just much more powerful. We already had the implementation was already good, but this just kind of blew it out of the water. Where now you can do anything. You can do anything with your blockchain that you would be doing normally with the traditional system, but you have all these other capabilities attached.
And that model is open source too. So like even our Helm charts are all open source. So check out Dragonchain on Helm.
Right, that's right. And then the last thing that we have on here, and again we probably missed a lot, but was the Dragonchain beta. And it's been a slow rollout because we went through a few different models, and we've tested the economy out. We had 250 beta users, and knowing with that size what we would need for a much larger size, we've worked through a lot of interesting things with the economy. We've tested out layer creation, which is a community-based process. We're testing out layer ownership. We're testing out the voting and the generation and mining of the main token, which is Matter. And so far it's been really successful, and we've just gone through a full rework of the user interface, the web app itself, and it's mobile friendly, and looks very clean, looks very nice, and we have a lot of really good features coming up this next year, and a lot of really interesting news there. So that's everything we have on the list. You have anything else?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
No, I think that
So-
sounds like a great
Yes.
2019. We're looking forward to 2020.
Yes.
Be sure to check out the 24-hour Dragonchain.
It's a
Live
live
scaling event.
scaling demonstration. So it's a live blockchain scaling event where we're going to run 24 hours through a process and have a lot of different presentations.
We're gonna have a lot
through
of
the
guests,
day.
right, that
Yeah.
are gonna come join
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting.
Should be fun and tiring.
Tiring.
So, but Happy New Year. Thanks, everybody, and see you next week.